Gemini, I need to start this reading by telling you something that came through so clearly the moment I sat down with your cards. The energy here is not what I expected at all. When I first connected to your situation, I thought we would be looking at healing, at recovery, at you picking up the pieces after someone's betrayal. But that is not what showed up. What showed up instead is freedom. What showed up is completion. What showed up is you already on the other side of something that nearly destroyed you, while the person who caused all that pain is only now beginning to understand what they have actually done. This is a general reading for entertainment purposes, and I want you to take only what resonates with your personal situation and leave what doesn't. I'm interpreting the energy I see in these cards, and this is not meant to replace any professional advice you might need. But Gemini, what I'm picking up here is so specific, so clear, that I have chills running down my arms as I share this with you. The cards are showing me a complete reversal of power, a total shift in the energy dynamic between you and this person who hurt you. The first card that appeared in your reading is the Page of Swords, and I have to tell you, when I pulled this card, I immediately felt this sharp, clear energy cutting through all the confusion and fog that had been surrounding your situation. The Page of Swords is the messenger of truth, the seeker of clarity, the one who refuses to stay in denial anymore, no matter how comfortable that denial might feel. In this card, I see a young figure standing on unstable ground with clouds moving rapidly behind them, holding a sword pointed upward toward the sky. The wind is whipping around them. Their hair and clothes are being blown by the force of approaching storms, but they stand firm, alert, ready. Their eyes are focused, scanning the horizon for threats, for truth, for anything they might have missed before. This is not a passive figure. This is someone who has decided they will no longer be caught off guard, who will no longer ignore the signs, who will no longer make excuses for behavior that doesn't deserve excuses. What I'm sensing here is that you recently received information that changed everything, Gemini. This wasn't just any information. This was the final piece of a puzzle you'd been trying to solve for months, maybe even years. Someone told you something they'd been holding back, or you discovered something you weren't supposed to find, or you overheard a conversation that revealed the truth behind the lies, or maybe it was something even more subtle than that. Maybe you were sitting alone one day, and suddenly all the inconsistencies, all the strange moments, all the things that didn't quite add up, they all clicked together in your mind like a lock finally opening. And in that moment, you saw the entire picture with perfect clarity. You saw exactly what had been done to you, exactly how it had been done, exactly why it had been done, and exactly who this person really was underneath the mask they'd been wearing. The Page of Swords represents that lightning bolt moment of awakening when you can no longer unsee what you've seen or unknow what you've learned. And Gemini, I know that moment was excruciating. I know it felt like betrayal happening all over again, except this time it was worse, because now you had to acknowledge that you'd been fooled, that you'd been manipulated, that signs you should have seen were right in front of you the whole time. There's a special kind of pain that comes with realizing you were lied to, that comes with understanding the depth of someone's deception, that comes with recognizing you gave your heart to someone who was playing games with it. The Page of Swords doesn't sugarcoat this experience. This card acknowledges that truth hurts, that clarity can feel like a sword piercing your chest, that waking up from a beautiful dream into a harsh reality is one of the most disorienting experiences a human can have. But here's what this card wants you to understand, and this is so important. That moment of painful truth, that moment when everything became clear, that moment was actually the universe's greatest gift to you. Because you cannot free yourself from something you don't fully see. You cannot protect yourself from something you're still making excuses for. You cannot heal from something you're still in denial about. The information you received, as devastating as it was, that information set you free. It cut the invisible cords that were still binding you to this person. It destroyed the fantasy you'd been clinging to. It shattered the hope that maybe you'd misunderstood. Maybe things weren't as bad as they seemed. Maybe this person would change or realize what they'd lost and come back different. The Page of Swords took all of that away from you, and in doing so, gave you back your power. In practical terms, this energy shows up as you becoming hypervigilant about people's words versus their actions. You're no longer impressed by smooth talking or grand promises or emotional performances that aren't backed up by consistent behavior over time. You're watching what people actually do when they think no one is paying attention. You're noticing the small inconsistencies that you used to brush off. You're seeing the red flags you used to paint green because you wanted so badly to believe in someone. And this isn't you becoming cynical or hardened or unable to trust anyone ever again. This is you becoming wise. This is you developing the discernment that comes from being burned badly enough that you finally learn to check if something is fire before you touch it. You're asking better questions now. You're requiring people to prove themselves through time and consistency rather than just taking their word for things. You're no longer afraid to walk away from situations that feel off, even if you can't quite articulate why they feel off yet. The emotional and psychological landscape this card reveals is fascinating, because what I'm picking up is that this truth, this information, this clarity didn't just show you who that person was. It also showed you who you had been allowing yourself to be in relationship to them. It showed you the ways you'd been diminishing yourself, silencing your intuition, making yourself smaller, accepting less than you deserved, tolerating behavior you would never tolerate from anyone else. The second card in your reading is the Ace of Pentacles. And Gemini, this is where the reading takes a turn that might surprise you, because the Ace of Pentacles is not about the past, it's not about the betrayal, it's not about loss or healing or recovery. The Ace of Pentacles is about what is coming to you right now, in this present moment, as a direct result of you choosing yourself and choosing freedom. This card shows a divine hand emerging from white clouds, reaching down from the heavens, offering you a golden pentacle. This pentacle is glowing, it's solid, it's real, it's tangible. Below this outstretched hand is a lush garden in full bloom, with a stone path winding through an archway covered in flowers and greenery, leading to mountains in the distance. Everything about this card speaks of abundance, fertility, new growth, solid foundation, material success, and opportunities that are real and grounded in the physical world rather than just being beautiful ideas or empty promises. What I'm picking up here is absolutely fascinating, because the timing of this card is so significant. While you were going through the absolute worst of this situation with the person who betrayed you, while you were crying yourself to sleep and questioning everything and wondering if you'd ever feel normal again, while you were in the depths of your pain and confusion, something else was happening simultaneously in the invisible realm. The universe was preparing a blessing for you, a real, tangible, material blessing. This could manifest as a career opportunity that's about to land in your lap, a financial windfall you weren't expecting, a new living situation that's going to improve your quality of life dramatically, a creative project that's suddenly gaining momentum and attention, or even a new relationship with someone who operates on a completely different frequency than what you experienced before. But the most important thing about the Ace of Pentacles appearing in this position is what it tells me about divine timing and energetic alignment. The cards are showing me that this blessing, this opportunity, this new beginning could not come into your life while you were still energetically entangled with someone who didn't deserve you. Think about it like this. The universe was holding this gift, waiting for the right moment to deliver it. But it couldn't give it to you while you were still pouring your energy into a situation that was draining you. It's like trying to fill a cup that has a huge hole in the bottom. The universe could pour and pour and pour, but nothing would stay in that cup because everything was leaking out through that toxic connection. You had to plug that hole first. You had to remove yourself from that draining dynamic. You had to take your energy back. You had to see the truth and act on it and free yourself. And now that you're standing in your clarity and your power and your self-respect, now that you're no longer giving pieces of yourself to someone who was using them against you, now the universe can actually deliver what has been waiting for you this entire time. From what I'm interpreting, this new opportunity is something stable and lasting. This is not another flash in the pan. This is not another situation where you get your hopes up only to be disappointed. This is not someone promising you the world and delivering nothing. The Ace of Pentacles is the most grounded, practical, reliable card in the entire tarot deck. When this card appears, it means real manifestation is occurring in the physical realm. Whatever is coming to you now, you're going to be able to see it, touch it, measure it, build on it. This is something that will improve your actual day-to-day life in visible, tangible ways. And what the cards want you to know is that you're entering a phase where your external reality is going to start matching your internal growth. All that work you did on yourself while you were healing, all those boundaries you set, all that self-respect you cultivated, all that clarity you gained, it's about to pay dividends in the material world. You're going to start seeing evidence that the universe rewards people who choose themselves, who refuse to settle, who walk away from what doesn't serve them even when it's hard. Now we have the Three of Swords, and this card stopped me in my tracks because of where it's positioned in your reading and what that positioning reveals about your current situation versus their current situation. The Three of Swords shows three swords piercing straight through a red heart, suspended in the middle of a gray stormy sky with rain falling heavily. This is traditionally one of the most painful cards in the tarot deck. This is the card of heartbreak, emotional devastation, betrayal that cuts deep, painful truths that shatter illusions, grief, sorrow, and the kind of hurt that feels like it might actually kill you, even though you know logically it won't. And yes, Gemini, this card absolutely represents what was done to you. This is the card of the betrayal itself. The moment your heart broke, the moment you realized someone you loved and trusted had hurt you intentionally or through careless disregard for your feelings. But what is absolutely fascinating and crucial to understand is that this card is not appearing at the beginning of your reading. It's not the first card. It's appearing after the Page of Swords that showed you gaining clarity, and after the Ace of Pentacles that showed you receiving blessings. And that positioning tells me everything I need to know about your current state. You are not in the Three of Swords anymore. You are not currently experiencing that acute heartbreak. You are not in the storm. You have already weathered it. You have already survived it. You have already made it to the other side. This card is appearing here to validate what you went through, to acknowledge that yes, this was real pain, yes, this was genuine betrayal, yes, this person really did hurt you as deeply as you felt they did. Your pain was valid, your heartbreak was justified. You're not being dramatic or oversensitive or unable to let things go. What happened to you was objectively hurtful, and this card confirms that. But the Three of Swords is appearing in this position for another reason entirely, and this is where the reading reveals something profound about karmic justice and divine timing. While you have moved through the Three of Swords experience and emerged on the other side stronger and wiser and free, the person who caused this pain is only now entering their own Three of Swords cycle. What I'm sensing very strongly is that this person thought they were exempt from consequences. They thought they got away with what they did to you. They thought that because you didn't seek revenge, because you didn't blast them on social media, because you didn't turn all your mutual friends against them, because you simply walked away with dignity and tried to heal privately, that meant they won. They interpreted your grace as weakness. They mistook your silence for acceptance. They assumed your lack of retaliation meant there would be no repercussions. But the Three of Swords doesn't work that way. Karma doesn't work that way. The universe doesn't work that way. The pain you cause others, the hearts you break, the trust you betray, it always comes back to you. Always. It might not come back immediately. It might not come back in the exact form you expect, but it comes back. And what's happening now, what the Three of Swords in this position is showing me, is that this person is beginning to experience their own heartbreak, their own betrayal, their own devastating loss. Maybe someone is doing to them exactly what they did to you, treating them with the same disregard, lying to them the same way, making them feel as small and foolish and disposable as they made you feel. Maybe they're losing something or someone they were absolutely certain they would never lose, something they took for granted, something they didn't appreciate until it was gone. Maybe the lies they told are unraveling and destroying their reputation with people whose opinions they care about. Maybe the karma is manifesting in their career, where opportunities are drying up or projects are failing or they're being passed over for advancements they thought were guaranteed. Maybe it's showing up in their health, in their mental state, in their ability to sleep at night, in a growing anxiety that something is wrong but they can't quite identify what. The specific details will vary because karma is highly personalized, tailored to teach each individual exactly what they need to learn. But the energy is the same. They are entering the storm you already survived. They are feeling the swords pierce their own heart now. They are experiencing the rain, the grief, the confusion, the pain of betrayal or loss, or consequences they didn't see coming. And Gemini, I need you to hear this very clearly because it's so important for your continued healing and growth. You do not need to know the details of their downfall. You do not need to watch it happen. You do not need to check their social media or ask mutual friends what's going on with them or try to find out if they're suffering. You do not need to be there to witness their karma playing out. In fact, your complete disinterest in their situation is the ultimate sign that you have truly healed and moved on. The emotional and psychological insight this card reveals is profound, because what the Three of Swords is showing me is that you have reached a place of genuine freedom where you no longer need them to suffer for you to be happy. You're not building your peace on the foundation of their misery. The fourth card is the Four of Swords, and when this card appeared, I felt this wave of peace wash over the entire reading, this sense of sacred rest and intentional healing. The Four of Swords shows a figure lying in complete stillness, in a position that resembles both sleep and prayer. They are horizontal, at rest, with their hands folded over their chest in a gesture of peaceful surrender or meditation. Above them on the wall hang three swords, representing the mental weapons, the thoughts, the anxieties, the obsessive analyzing that they have temporarily laid down. Beneath them is one more sword, suggesting that while they are resting, they still maintain some level of protection and awareness. This is not the sleep of someone who is unconscious or unaware. This is the conscious choice to rest, to retreat, to recover. Through the stained glass window beside this resting figure, there is light coming through, suggesting that even in this period of withdrawal from the world, there is still hope, still divine presence, still the promise of better days ahead. What I'm picking up here is that there was a period after the betrayal, after the truth came out, after your heart broke, where you had to completely retreat from the world in order to survive and eventually heal. This wasn't you being antisocial or dramatic or wallowing in self-pity like some people might have suggested. This was you being wise enough to recognize that you needed time and space away from the demands of normal life to process something traumatic, to integrate a painful experience, to allow your nervous system to regulate after being in fight or flight mode for so long. You had to step back from socializing, from dating, from trying to appear okay when you weren't okay, from performing normalcy for people who didn't understand the depth of what you were going through. The Four of Swords represents that sacred period of withdrawal. And Gemini, this card is showing me that you actually honored that need instead of fighting it. You didn't let people pressure you into getting over it faster than was healthy. You didn't force yourself back into the dating pool before you were ready just because someone told you the best way to get over someone is to get under someone else. You didn't pretend to be fine when you were falling apart inside. You gave yourself permission to fall apart in private. You created space for your healing. You protected your energy. You said no to invitations without feeling guilty. You limited your social media consumption. You stopped explaining yourself to people who didn't need to understand. You turned inward and focused on your own internal world, your own emotional landscape, your own healing journey. In practical manifestation, this shows up as those weeks or months where you canceled plans regularly, where you stayed home more than you went out, where you stopped posting on social media, or significantly reduced your online presence, where you let phone calls go to voicemail, where you created a small protected bubble for yourself and only let very few trusted people inside that bubble. Maybe your closest friends or family members didn't fully understand. Maybe they thought you were isolating too much. Maybe they worried about you. Maybe they told you that you needed to get out more meet new people, distract yourself, stop thinking about it so much. But you knew, on some deep instinctual level, that you needed stillness and solitude more than you needed distraction and social stimulation. The emotional landscape this card reveals is one of profound self-compassion and self-knowledge. You treated yourself gently during your most vulnerable time. You were kind to yourself when you were broken. You didn't beat yourself up for being hurt, or for needing time, or for not bouncing back as quickly as you thought you should. You recognized that healing is not linear, that some days you would feel okay, and other days you would feel like you were right back at square one, and you allowed for that natural ebb and flow instead of judging yourself for it. You understood that crying is not weakness, that feeling your feelings fully is actually the fastest way through them, that trying to suppress or bypass difficult emotions only prolongs the healing process. What the cards want you to know is that this period of rest, this time of withdrawal, this phase of turning inward was not wasted time. Every moment you spent in stillness was rebuilding your foundation. Every tear you cried was releasing toxins from your emotional system. Every hour you spent alone was helping you remember who you are without someone else defining you or diminishing you. The fifth card is Strength. And Gemini, this is where I started getting genuinely emotional reading your cards, because this card represents who you are now, who you have become through everything you've survived. The Strength card shows a woman in a white robe gently closing the mouth of a lion. She is not wrestling the lion. She is not running from the lion in terror. She is not trying to kill the lion or chain it up or dominate it through force. She is calmly, confidently, lovingly taming this wild, dangerous beast through nothing more than gentleness, patience, and quiet inner power. Above her head floats the infinity symbol, the lemniscate, representing unlimited inner resources, eternal strength, divine connection, and the understanding that true power is infinite and inexhaustible when it comes from within, rather than from external validation or control over others. What this card is showing me is that you have completely integrated everything that happened to you. The betrayal, the heartbreak, the painful truth, the period of recovery, all of it has been alchemized into wisdom. All of it has been transformed into a different kind of power. This is not aggressive power. This is not the power that comes from dominating others, or proving yourself superior, or getting revenge, or making people afraid of you. This is quiet power. This is still power. This is the power of someone who has been to hell and back, and emerged with their soul not just intact, but actually enhanced, refined, purified, like gold that has been through fire and come out more valuable than before. Then, what I'm sensing very clearly is that people can feel this shift in you even if they cannot name it or articulate what's different. You carry yourself differently now. There's a groundedness to you that wasn't there before. There's a certainty, a self-possession, a kind of unshakable knowing of who you are and what you will and will not accept in your life. You speak differently now. Your words carry more weight because they come from a place of conviction rather than a need for approval. You don't over-explain yourself anymore. You don't apologize for taking up space. You don't shrink to make others comfortable. You don't laugh at jokes that aren't funny, or agree with opinions you don't share just to avoid conflict. You have become comfortable with being misunderstood by people who don't matter, because you know that the people who matter will understand you just fine. The lion in this card represents the raw, primal, emotional energy that the betrayal awakened in you. This is the rage, the desire for revenge, the impulse to hurt them back, to expose them, to make them suffer the way they made you suffer. This is the humiliation, the shame, the feeling of being stupid or naive for having trusted them. This is the fear that you'll never be able to trust anyone again, that you're damaged now, that this experience has broken something in you that can never be fixed. All of those intense, overwhelming, sometimes frightening emotions, that's the lion. And what you did, what this strength card is showing me you accomplished, is you acknowledged that lion. You felt those feelings fully. You didn't suppress them or pretend they didn't exist. But you also didn't let them control you. You didn't let them make your decisions. You didn't act on every angry impulse or vengeful thought that crossed your mind. Instead, you tamed that wild energy. You transformed it. You took the rage and you turned it into determination to build a better life. You took the pain and you turned it into wisdom about people and relationships and red flags. You took the humiliation and you turned it into self-respect, into standards, into an absolute refusal to ever again accept treatment that makes you feel small. This is the alchemy of the Strength card. This is what it means to be truly strong. Not never feeling difficult emotions, but feeling them fully and choosing consciously how to channel that energy rather than being ruled by it. In practical terms, this energy shows up as you being able to encounter this person or hear their name or see their picture without falling apart. Maybe you run into them somewhere and you feel nothing, or maybe you feel a slight pang of something, nostalgia perhaps, or maybe even pity, but you don't fall apart. You don't need to leave. You don't need to hide. You can exist in the same space as them and remain completely centered in yourself. Or maybe you hear that they're going through something difficult, and instead of feeling gleeful satisfaction, you just feel neutral, or you feel that detached kind of sympathy you might feel for any stranger going through a hard time. This doesn't mean you want them back in your life. This doesn't mean you've forgotten what they did. This means you've processed it so thoroughly that it no longer has an emotional charge for you. The sixth card is the Queen of Cups, and this card made me smile when it appeared because it's showing me exactly where you are emotionally right now and where you're headed in your relationships moving forward. The Queen of Cups sits on an ornate throne positioned right at the edge of the water. She is looking down at a closed cup that she holds carefully with both hands. This cup is unlike any other cup in the tarot. It's ornate, decorated, special, and it has a lid on it. She's not offering this cup to anyone. She's not asking anyone to fill it for her. She's protecting what's inside it. She's being discerning about who gets access to it. Her throne is decorated with mermaids, sea nymphs, and fish, all symbols of the emotional realm, the subconscious, the world of feelings and intuition. The water around her is calm, not because there are no emotions present, but because she has mastered the art of being with her emotions without being controlled by them, of feeling deeply without being overwhelmed, of staying connected to her intuition without being consumed by it. What I'm picking up very strongly is that you have become emotionally sovereign. You are no longer looking outside yourself for someone to validate your feelings, to make you feel worthy, to complete you, to fix you, to heal you, to give your life meaning. You have learned to hold your own emotional cup, to fill it yourself from your own internal well, to protect what's precious inside it. The Queen of Cups represents emotional maturity, intuitive mastery, psychic sensitivity combined with practical wisdom, and the ability to offer compassion and empathy to others without losing yourself in their problems or absorbing their pain as if it were your own. What is absolutely fascinating about this card appearing in your reading right now is that it's showing me you are ready for real love, genuine partnership, authentic connection. But here's the critical difference between where you are now and where you were when you met the person who betrayed you. You are not desperate for it anymore. You are not looking for love to save you or rescue you or validate you or prove your worth. You are complete on your own. You are whole within yourself. You have built a beautiful life that you genuinely enjoy. And if the right person comes along, someone who is actually worthy of you, someone who can match your emotional maturity and your self-awareness and your integrity, they will be adding to your already fulfilling life, not filling a void or fixing something broken. From what I'm interpreting, you are in a space now where you can see red flags immediately, and you actually listen to yourself when you see them. You trust your intuition. When something feels off with someone, even if you can't quite articulate why it feels off, even if on paper they seem perfect, you honor that feeling and you create distance. You don't talk yourself out of your gut instincts anymore. You don't give people the benefit of the doubt when they haven't earned it. You don't make excuses for behavior that makes you uncomfortable. When someone shows you who they are through their actions, you believe them the first time, instead of waiting for the second, third, or 10th time, hoping they'll prove your concerns wrong. The Queen of Cups has been through enough painful experiences to know the difference between someone who is genuinely emotionally available and someone who is just skilled at performing emotional availability. She can spot emotional manipulation from a mile away now. She recognizes love bombing for what it is. She sees through future faking. She notices when someone's words don't match their actions. She pays attention to how someone treats service workers, how they talk about their exes, how they handle conflict, how they respond when she sets a boundary, how they act when they don't get their way. All of these things that she might have overlooked before, she sees them clearly now, and she gives them the weight they deserve in her decision-making about who gets access to her time, energy, and heart. What this card wants you to know, what I need you to really hear, is that your sensitivity, your emotional depth, your capacity to feel deeply and love fully, these are not weaknesses. They never were. The person who betrayed you probably made you feel like you were too emotional, too sensitive, too intense, too much. The final card in your reading is the Empress. And Gemini, this is your future. This is what is blossoming in your life right now as we speak. This is the culmination of everything you've been through and everything you've learned. The Empress sits in the most lush, abundant garden imaginable. She is surrounded by ripe wheat ready for harvest, by flowing water that nourishes all the plants, by trees heavy with fruit, by flowers in full bloom. She wears a crown of 12 stars, representing her connection to the zodiac, to cosmic timing, to divine feminine power. She holds a scepter, a symbol of authority and sovereignty. Her robe is decorated with pomegranates, ancient symbols of fertility and abundance. She is visibly pregnant, representing the creative potential that is growing inside her, the ideas and dreams and projects that are gestating and will soon be born into the physical world. Everything about this card radiates abundance, sensuality, nurturing energy, creative power, and the divine feminine in her full expression. When I pulled this card as your outcome, as your future, I felt this rush of excitement, because this is the universe telling you that you are entering your most abundant, creative, joyful, successful chapter yet. Everything you went through, every tear you cried, every night you thought you wouldn't survive, every moment of doubt and pain and confusion, all of that was preparing you for this. All of that was fertilizing the soil of your life so that now that you've done the work of healing and integration, now that you've transformed your pain into wisdom, you can grow something absolutely beautiful. The Empress is the ultimate card of manifestation. She represents the ability to take an idea, a dream, a vision, and bring it into physical reality through patience, nurturing, consistent care, and trust in the natural timing of growth. Whatever you are wanting to create in your life right now, whether that's a business that reflects your authentic values and uses your natural gifts, whether that's a romantic relationship with someone who actually deserves you and meets you at your level, whether that's a family, whether that's a creative project like writing a book or creating art or starting a podcast, whether that's simply a new version of yourself that is more aligned with who you truly are, it is all coming to fruition. The Empress is telling you that you are entering your harvest season after a long period of planting seeds and tending to them through difficult conditions. What I'm sensing very clearly is that the person who betrayed you is going to witness your Empress era, and it is going to absolutely destroy them. Not because you're trying to make them jealous, not because you're posting about your happiness specifically to hurt them, but simply because they are going to see what they lost and what they could never have accessed in you because they weren't worthy of it. The Empress energy is magnetic. When you are in your Empress power, opportunities come to you without you having to chase them. People are drawn to you. Resources flow to you. Doors open for you. Synchronicities happen all the time. You are in the flow, in alignment, in your purpose, and it shows in everything you touch. What the cards are showing me is that while this person is going through their karmic lessons, their Three of Swords heartbreak, their consequences, their painful awakening, you are going to be thriving in ways that have absolutely nothing to do with them at all. You are going to be so focused on building your empire, creating your art, loving your life, enjoying your abundance, spending time with people who genuinely appreciate you, that this person who once occupied so much space in your thoughts and heart will barely cross your mind. Maybe once a month you'll remember them for a moment and think, wow, I'm so glad that ended, before returning to your beautiful life. And that Gemini, that complete disinterest, that genuine happiness that exists, independent of their suffering or awareness, that is the ultimate freedom. That is the evidence that you have truly healed and moved on. The practical manifestation of the Empress shows up as money flowing more easily to you, opportunities presenting themselves without you having to force or manipulate or convince anyone of anything, people treating you with more respect and consideration, your creative projects gaining traction and attention, your body feeling healthier and more vibrant and alive, your home becoming a sanctuary that you love spending time in, your social life expanding with quality people who add value to your life, romantic interests who are actually on your level showing up and making their interest clear through consistent effort rather than mixed signals. This is not fantasy. This is not wishful thinking. This is what happens when you clear out toxic energy and people who are blocking your blessings, and you make room for what is actually meant for you. What I need you to really hear, what the cards want to make absolutely clear, is that your abundance, your happiness, your success, your beautiful life is not about revenge or proving anything to anyone. This is not about showing that person what they missed or making them regret their choices. This is about you stepping into the life that was always meant for you, but could not arrive while you were giving your precious energy to someone who was using it to drain you rather than celebrate you.